Welcome to the first edition of the Aftershow podcast with myself, JayShockblast, and Casual Avenger. What's up, chat?
Here we are. It started in the round table, just the last three hanging out, shooting the shiz, if you will. Keep it a little PG, I guess.
A little bit.
And here we are, chatting all things entertainment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Gonna say something, old man?
This Avenger in the building. Yeah. keeping these dudes on a straight line. We're trying to.
It's pretty ridiculous when he says "old man" and neither one of us knows who he's talking to.
Right?
That's literally what he calls both of us. Although I think I'm Boomer and he's old man.
Very true. I do specify.
All right, so I mean,
the ancient one.
This is gonna be weird because we're on Sadot's channel, but this is a podcast, and I think we're all pretty used to like being in the driver's seat. So we're gonna do this thing weekly. We've been talking about it for a long time, and the day is finally here. Before we started, Sadot's like, "Man, we're actually gonna do it," and here we are. So he was kind of nerding out. I know he likes to play it tough and everything, but he's a nerd, like all of us. He gets giddy. That's,
True.
I mean,
All good.
I'm just in
I'm
here.
just really excited. I'm just really excited to get JayShockblast canceled. So that's really
uncancelable. Black Panther. It's my you can't cancel me shirt.
Council proof.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something I think I know I've been really looking forward to. I mean, I know I've enjoyed working with both Casual and Sadot in the last year or so. Shout outs to Doomkiller, because without him, the three of us would not be in the same room together virtually. And I think we've all kind of talked about it a little bit here and there. First episode, probably gonna be a little awkward while we feel out how we're gonna do all this. I am very naturally used to like hosting, so if I take over at all, please just stop me. It's fine.
Tell you to shut your mouth.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I do want to first off acknowledge the chat. Since we're at the beginning, introduce what we've introduced. I just want to talk to everyone, shout you out for coming to this first annual podcast. We got Rerum, a lot of familiar faces: Lucky Raygun, Action Spider, Chase Fawn, Jav, King, AC. We got Alien Fighter, who we were literally just talking about in the building of Subjusted. It's True, Yashua, Kinda Dry, Casual Avenger. So basically how this is going to work is we're just basically going to have a conversation. It's going to be like this, a round table without 30 people. Just going to be us. We're going to talk about different topics. This is not a Marvel's Avengers typical, let's talk about builds and leveling up. If you need all that, that's a different thing. We're going to talk about news. We're going to talk about every, we'll cover the news and the leaks and all that good stuff, but it's going to be a podcast where you could just see us. So keep that in mind.
And our goal is eventually not to just be here on YouTube. We're hoping to get this on like Stitcher and Spotify and all the different places you can listen to podcasts. It's going to be a work in progress. I think you're going to see us get better as time goes, as you would expect. And I'm excited, man. I think one of the things that we did talk about was that because it is a podcast by nature, we may not acknowledge chat the way that we usually do in other streams. Don't be offended. I just wanted to, I guess, get that out of the way too.
Yes, that's right. It's not because it is a podcast. We want to make sure that we keep the conversation going. We will, of course, be responding to super chats if we get some in as they come in, but we're not just going to be reading the chat the whole time. We're just going to be having a conversation, and if something relevant pops up, we'll do it, but we're not going to be responding to every message. So keep that in mind. The easiest way to get your message read is to basically give me money. So just be aware. Just be aware of that. So first topic is going to be, because it's the first podcast, and most of you know us from our Avenging, and there is a lot of stuff to talk about. Marvel's Avengers. We had a after over a month of silence, pretty much. We got a pretty wild week. You know, we had the Winter Soldier reveal. We had some new leaks for Miller. We had some drama from Miller. So I guess we'll first talk about the whole content portion. You know, what did you think of the rollout of Winter Soldier and patch 2.6 and 2.7? We'll start with we'll go by age. So Casual Avenger.
Hey. I thought they made a wise choice with letting Paul Tassi break the news instead of going with like IGN as they've done in the past, which I'm pretty sure they're gonna go with IGN probably down the road when they get some gameplay footage or something. But Paul Tassi, he tends to be a little more fair than IGN, than doing the typical just bash the game real quick. It's like the article itself was funny. The article was funny as hell, but but it's like I feel like he was pretty objective in handling it, especially for somebody who hasn't really been following or covering the game that much lately. Like he's moved on, pretty much away from Avengers, especially when they kind of froze them out with the roadmap plans and things like that. But even considering that, I feel like he was very fair with the news and still promoting the upcoming content for him.
And Mr. Shockblast.
It's really surprising to me that this was like the actual announcement, considering I've been seeing Winter Soldier in every thumbnail on YouTube for probably the last 3 months. So I mean, listen, I think we all saw it coming, obviously, since it was pretty much out there since early July. And I think Winter Soldier is a good choice, I obviously think I don't know. I think that a lot of people are going to be very intrigued by this. There's a lot of ways they can go with it. I think it's our first naturally new character since obviously Spider-Man, so that'll be pretty cool. And I don't really know there are many better choices. I guess you could have done She-Hulk for the synergy, but we'll get there eventually, I suppose. Allegedly. What did you think, Sadot the Gamer?
Okay, so there was, in typical Avengers fashion, there was good to this, and there was a lot of bad to this. So obviously, glad that we finally got some communication after over a month of no communication. Paul Tassi, solid choice to break this story, but I think they definitely could have done the marketing for this a lot better. I mean, all we had to go off of was a Reddit comment from CD Nick E from over a month ago, and then this just drops right into our laps. They could have gotten the word out there even more if they had recruited more than 3 content creators and a handful of moderators. But that's the route that you chose to take. They had a patch that dropped that same day that was specifically to fix Jane, and it didn't. I tested it out myself.
I didn't even notice that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it got lost in there, but I was like, oh yeah, this patch was supposed to fix that glitch where Jane's hammer goes invisible, and I'm like, oh, that still happened. So the patch did nothing except add skins, and the DLC itself sounds good, but this could easily go off the rack. Like in typical, like if you're someone who's just followed the game as long as we have, you've kind of accepted that you have to lower the bar a bit, more than a bit. But for me, it's still like, this is great that we finally are getting some content, but remember, this is the content is in question is our second Monica villain sector and an OLT that was supposed to come out 2 years ago, and another hero event.
Yeah, and we really don't have any idea. I mean, I was under the impression based on the last conversation I got to have with them, that we would be getting the Monica villain sector by now. Like, by the end of this month, maybe. Like, but I have long since accepted that everything they do is going to take about 5 times longer than they say it will. And I understand that they're working with limited resources, and it'd be great if they could do things faster. They're never going to do things as fast as we want them to. But it's a little hollow, I guess, when, you know, you just, all right, cool, it's coming, but when? And whenever they say, you know, it's not going to probably actually happen then. So, I don't know, man. And I really feel like, yeah, they could have handled this better, but at the same time, how long did it take you to take the tweet image and get online? You know what I mean? I think they kind of know. I think they kind of know with absolutely. Yeah, that's a baited question, I guess. But still, I was online within 20 minutes, you know? And, like, I feel like they know they could be a little lazy on that, and everybody's going to get it fast and just run with it. Because I'm sure there were at least 20 of us going live within a half hour of that tweet going out. Within a half hour, that Forbes article going out from Paul Tassi. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not complaining too much. Obviously, it would have been nice to have a heads up because I could have built up. I could have built up hype going into it. You know, if I knew beforehand, I could have some stuff prepared. But I went live as soon as I saw the Bob. As soon as I saw the Bob info, I got an image for my actual stream because I didn't need to change my thumbnail because, you know, always think ahead. But I still got 10,000 views on the stream, so I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
But it's just like, come on, guys, use the few assets that you have left to promote your struggling game.
I mean, the last time I had an opportunity to talk to people, I would make that point. I don't really understand why they don't lean into, like, their strongest creators. Like, let's face it, you know, they can do one of their, you know, dev streams. You can co-stream it, and you're going to get at least 40% of the people that they are watching it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to butter your bread here, but, like, you are their biggest everyday consistent content creator. And the fact that they can't lean into that and they can't use you as an asset, like, I don't think you're ever going to, like, drink the Kool-Aid or anything, but I think that, like, working with you, especially you, would be so much more beneficial than kind of the way that they approach it. It just, I don't know, man. Like, you know me, you said it in your video today, I don't really like to deal with any of the nonsense going on Reddit and stuff like that, but it's so funny how quickly they could derail everything by, like, unnecessarily trying to dunk on Miller. Like, I just don't understand the thought process there. Like in what world did they think that was gonna work? You know, like,
that's actually a perfect segue, Mr. Shockblast.
Yeah, I was about to say that was master.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's why they pay him the big bucks. In addition to, it wouldn't be a Marvel's Avengers news day without Marvel's Avengers tripping over their own dicks. The same day that we got all this good news, we got some drama because Nick, the brand manager, couldn't help himself and decided to throw shade at Miller on Reddit, and this time it went very, very badly for him. So Jay, you can continue. I've
interacted with, I don't know Nick at all, to be honest with you, but I've interacted with him a decent amount. He seems like a really good guy, and I think his heart's in the right place. And if we're being honest, like, all of these devs have been shit on for 2 years straight. All right, like, I get it, I understand. I'd probably want to dunk on people too, but, like, I don't know, choose your battles and choose the timing. It was poor timing. It was honestly disingenuous at best, right? Like, let's not pretend that She-Hulk is not coming to this game, okay? Let's not pretend that, like, the literal voice actor, like, retweeted and has been telling people that she's She-Hulk at some point in the future. And let's not pretend that Miller realized in the process that things shifted to Winter Soldier. Like, all of these things are things that happen, and he knows that. And I just don't get what he thought he was going to get out of that. Like, I'm not going to tell another man how to do their business, but, like, I just don't understand the thought process. Like, you're not going to win that battle, not there, and not anywhere. So what's the point?
I don't think he was thinking. I think he just got so mad because people were giving Miller credit for being right again that he was,
Yeah.
I didn't hear She-Hulk announced, and it was like, bro.
I mean, that's a comment. That's a comment that should have stayed in
July.
Slack. You know what I mean? Like,
He tweeted about it back in July, but he's been talking about it, and he was aware of the shift well before he tweeted about it, well before he was comfortable coming forward saying this is who's coming next. He already knew their next move before it was public knowledge. You just announced it yesterday. He knew months ago, just like he knew last year that Jane Foster was coming this year. To say he's guessing and to try to discredit him is like, he's not randomly chasing clout or anything like that. So it's not just throwing out random nonsense and hoping he's right. He's very strategic with what he does. He's very calculating with how he words his tweets and everything. It's like, you got to appreciate what he's doing. And it's like, I understand being angry about it. Like, that's 100% fair. Like, he's ruining your marketing or whatever. But honestly, nobody was less, excited about the announcement once it was announced. They were actually more excited because now it's official. Now it's no longer a rumor. It's actually coming. So it's like, there is no downside really. So I don't understand what his angle is with trying to make it personal, but it's like, let it go, bro.
we all have a little bit of petty in us, right? And I get it.
A little bit.
I appreciate a little bit of pettiness, but like, when you're in that position, I just don't. What are you gonna get out of it? Like, did it really feel good to get that out on Reddit?
I mean, it didn't feel good for long because holy, did he get destroyed on Twitter and Reddit? Like he tried to clean. I guess make himself save a little bit of face, saying, "Oh, it just I care about the players. I don't want they thought they were sad because they were expecting She-Hulk, and I don't want people to get them the false expectations." I'm like, bro, and Trix pointed this out. You literally confirmed She-Hulk on your own stream, on the Xbox stream. You let the host tell a story about how his voice coach is She-Hulk in your game. You didn't tell him beforehand it's off limits. You didn't stop him. You didn't tell after he told the story. You didn't say it wasn't true. Brian just mumbled, "We don't announce things." What are you talking about, bro? That's where we got the expectations from. Are we living in it's like sometimes they're living in an alternate reality, or you know what it is? I think they believe that we're really stupid. Like, the people who support them, like they think they're really, really dumb, and they can just say anything, and they'll just be like, "Oh, you got it, boss." Like, no, like, that makes no sense. It was your fault that people thought She-Hulk was coming. Deal with it.
Yeah, I go ahead, Casual. Sorry.
No, you good. You good.
No, I just didn't really see the point of that battle. Like, the petty side of me gets it. I understand it, but like, there's. I hope that this is the last time that happens. Like, honestly, they should all just disengage. I know it won't be, but they should just disengage with the Miller shade. They're not gonna win that battle. They're just not. Like, Miller is beloved within the community. Sure, there are some people that don't like it, whatever. I don't care. But, like, they're not going to win that battle, right? And to what you said and what Nick said, there is some truth to it. Like, let's not pretend that there aren't people that still think that the people on that original 14 list, or however many people that Miller had on his initial list that he found in files, let's not pretend there's not still lots of people that think that those characters are actually confirmed coming to the game, so there is some of that, but I feel like we as a community do a pretty good job of like setting those facts straight and making sure people understand that. I know it's not going to get to everybody, but like, I don't know, man, it just seemed like such an unnecessary unnecessary battle. I don't get where he was coming from with that.
Yeah, I honestly thought they kind of learned their lesson because when Miller announced that Winter Soldier was next, they didn't say anything. But before that, when people were still talking about She-Hulk, they were like, oh, well, I wouldn't get too attached to that idea. And then when he dropped the news that Bucky is next, crickets until yesterday. Oh, I didn't hear She-Hulk announce it. It's like, bro, just take the L. You've already lost. Hold the L and just move on to the next piece of content. Let's hype up 2.6 and 2.7. Let's just focus on the positive. Let that battle go. You're gonna lose every single time. And something I learned, from my own profession is you can never go wrong just being professional. Just be professional, bro. Just leave it at professional. I'm not beefing with people on the internet, especially from my business account. It just doesn't make sense. So I don't know. I don't think it was any logic going on. I think he was just in his feelings.
Sometimes I wonder, like, what do they do? Like, how do you have the time? That's what I want. How do you have the actual time to even do all that? Like, this is launch day of a major content reveal, and he has time to argue with people on Reddit. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, and I honestly, I've seen times where people get little pissed off and agitated by some of the snark that Nick can give, but I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of the time when I see him push back with a little bit of snark, I kind of laugh and say, you kind of deserve that, but this was not one of those times. I think he's a good guy, and listen, we have all had a comment on Twitter or something that started as us just like following up with a little bit of pushback that turned into a 30 tweet storm. You know what I mean? Maybe this is one of those situations. Maybe we cut him a teeny bit of slack. That only remains to be seen if he can, like, I don't know, hopefully just everybody can just move on and not like get into this nonsense again, because I'm tired of it being every time something goes well, shit has to hit the fan. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, we're all fans of the game. We're also here because we do find some enjoyment playing it, and we all want it to do well. So, like, I don't know, like, help us get there. Like, I felt like it was just unnecessary.
Yeah, I'm personally not, holding anything against him. Like I said, he's a person, just like anybody who has meltdowns on Twitter and stuff like that. It's like, at the end of the day, you're a person. Apologize if you got to and move on. Like, I'm a forgiving person, so it's like, it's not the end of the world.
My issue is it's not even a one. If it was a one-time thing, I'd be like, oh yeah, but it's like the fact that it's a pattern, something that he consistently does, and he never apologizes. He just does it and thinks he just go. This is all good. Like, he doesn't have to acknowledge it at all. And then a month later or a couple months later, he's right back doing the same stuff. It's like, it seems like just who he is.
Yeah, and like I said, I get it. It's like I said, ultimately it's unfortunate because it's like that was a really good day for them yesterday that kind of got stained with nonsense. And it's like, it's also unfortunate because if you actually get to know Miller, he is legitimately a really, really laid back, cool person. Hilarious too. Like, he's low key hilarious.
We're not saying that because Miller's in the chat right now.
Oh, he's in the chat.
I think the biggest thing.
I haven't watched the chat.
I think the biggest thing.
Yeah,
shout out to Miller for sure. I think the biggest thing for me when it comes to like some of the criticisms of Miller, I don't think, like, if we look at like Fortnite as an example, the Millers of Fortnite are not just celebrated; they're like actual verified people on Twitter. Like, they are huge, okay? And they do the same thing that Miller does. A new update comes out, they open the files and start digging through it. There's a guy named Fire Monkey. I follow him on Twitter, and I've watched his stream as he's just digging through the files, trying to find what's new in them, okay? This is not stealing. It's not like anything like that. He is just going through the files and finding stuff that's in there. And that is not really a leak, that is data mining. I think a lot of people can't separate the difference between a leak and a data mine. They are two different things. Now, the things that Miller does leak is stuff that's coming from people that talk to him. And those are the people that are in the wrong, in my opinion, because they are telling Miller this because Miller is somebody that can talk about it and say something. All right. They are undermining the situation, if you want to consider it that, not Miller. Miller is just doing what he can with information he's given. Now, it's different when you see somebody like, I don't know, I think it was like one of the Giant Bomb people who keeps like randomly mentioning things that he finds out, like the Black Panther video game. Like, that I don't think anybody was supposed to talk about. They've never done an actual reveal for that. And he just one day comes out and blurts it out on a podcast. That is a leak.
Jeff Grubb's made his whole career off that. That's basically what Jeff Grubb does.
I thought that's who it was, but I couldn't remember who exactly. But like, that's somebody that, like, if I were a label or a gaming company, I probably would not want to include him on the communications, you know? Because, like, I don't know, man. Like, that's the dangerous area where it does ruin things. But what Miller does, you can argue that, sure, it could hurt Avengers by, like, having this information out a little bit early, but that's not his fault. He's not doing anything wrong. He's been given this information, not told that it's privileged, not told that you're under NDA. That's what's he going to do? He's going to talk about it. And I don't blame him for that, you know?
This has actually helped the game. Like,
I agree. I think through some pretty dark and bleak times, we've been able to keep some level of excitement. You guys have certainly kept your thumbnails very active. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not his fault, you know? Like, he's doing this, like I said, the Fortnite people, beloved, you know? Fire Monkey, Shinra, all those people, you know? But everybody handles it different.
Go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying everybody handles it different. You know what I mean?
I was going to say that if it was something that legitimately was visibly hurting the game's player base or the game's sale or marketing or anything like that, I would 100% understand where they're coming from. Looking at this year specifically, if there was no knowledge coming from Miller about a mystery hero, which he didn't confirm until, April, May? He didn't confirm that until almost in the middle of the year, but he knew about it since last year and just teased it. So it's a mystery hero. She's a female. She has interesting hair. Everybody went wild with speculation just based off of that, and it's a conversation. Everybody is having a conversation around the game. They're excited about who it could possibly be. Yes, there's going to be disappointment about who it ultimately isn't, but that's part of the game. No matter who they announce, people are going to be disappointed. They can announce Doctor Strange tomorrow, and people are going to be like, oh, what about Scarlet Witch? Where's Captain Marvel? Oh, I want Sentry. I want Ghost Rider. So it's like,
I want Batman.
War Machine, I'll fight for War Machine. I will fight for War Machine, but it's just a part of the marketing scheme. But if Miller was silent while they were silent, you would have got news about 2.3 being a Nick Fury, onboarding patch. 2.4 that came months later, again, silence after 2.3, then 2.4, you get the rework for the events and everything. If you've been here since day one of 2020, September of 2020, that's not exciting news. If you don't know, they're working on other heroes beyond the few that you saw at launch. Most people are legitimately gone, and the people that have hung around because they know they are working on other heroes. We don't know the order in which they're going to be released. We don't know how far they are in development outside of the insights that Miller can provide, but something's going on, and that's enough to keep people holding on. If you don't have that, most of our channels are talking about something else right now, specifically in this year alone. Nobody's holding on to Avengers. A lot of the creators who were inside the program, they were going, months ago because they don't see a future for the game and they don't trust the vision for the game. So
I know. I can't see it. If you remove the data mining altogether, I would have stopped playing this game in 2020 to keep it a buck. It would have been uninstalled. I'd be playing Ghost of Tsushima. I'd probably be a Genshin Impact streamer. It would be a whole. It'd be a whole different thing.
We wouldn't be all here right now.
No, but because of Miller, and I guess that's kind of Miller's fault, because I definitely feel like I could have been much bigger if I was a Genshin streamer. But for better or worse, I stuck with the game because I saw the vision thanks to Miller's roadmap from the data mining. So I stuck around even through all the dryness, all the radio silence. I'm like, well, they're not saying anything, but we got Miller to keep it fresh, keep it interesting.
Remember that time we were like, this is not going to be an Avengers podcast, and then we spent like the first 20 minutes. I know, I'm making the joke, you know what I mean?
To be fair, there was actually a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And,
for once.
For once. there usually isn't.
We didn't even talk about the 4 skins that he found.
No, we did not talk about the skins that we found and how Alien is wrong to not be excited for that classic Hawkeye.
Oh my God! Let's pile on Alien fodder for just a moment here, because that is like such a great looking skin. Of course, we got the classic Hawkeye, Hulk from Thor Ragnarok, which is amazing. Was it Captain America from Winter Soldier?
And Ultimate Thor, bro.
And
Ultimate Thor and classic Hawkeye coming.
I'm not a big Ultimate Thor fan, if I'm being honest. Like, I've never really been a huge fan of that look, but
that was my least favorite skin.
Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, obviously I'm a Thor fan. I'm looking forward to everybody complaining that where's Mjolnir? And the irony is that Ultimate Thor's Mjolnir or Stormbreaker is about the size of Mjolnir. So it would be really cool if they could find a way, because size was the issue with MCU Stormbreaker, kind of like what they did with Jane. It would be cool if they could just kind of find a way to work in Ultimate Stormbreaker, but I'm just not even gonna give that any hope. You know, I don't even want to speak that into existence, because
I mean you never know. When we looked at the files for the MCU Jane,
not a cracked hammer.
The hammer wasn't cracked, but when you get it actually in the game, the hammer's cracked. So maybe they're going for it.
Came through with the scan. It was late, but it was a good scan. I definitely copped it yesterday when my game finally worked.
Yeah, I loved it actually.
Loved Lejeune. I love Lejeune about to cop that Gladiator Hulk.
that Gladiator Hulk is nice.
He only cares about skins when the Hawk's involved.
They got to support the Gladiator skin, because they've literally been asking for that for months. And they could have easily just not made it, because he has a similar skin in the game already, but they went ahead and delivered on it. So it's like, when that drops, you got to show up for it.
That's why I'm not buying it. If it was the Norton Hawk or even Avengers Hawk, I would have probably copped it. But the Gladiator, I don't care about that. But if you're a Hawk main and you're asking for MCU, you better buy it.
If you were asking for that skin, you got to cop it. I don't care about that. I wasn't asking for it, so I'm not obligated to pick that up. But if you were asking for it and campaigning for that, you got to pick that up.
Well, here's a good segue. They could also do Smart Hulk from the hit Disney Plus TV show She-Hulk, which
that was a good transition.
Which debuted Wednesday? So
Thursday.
Sadot is already going to tell you how I feel about it.
He loves it. Best thing he's ever seen. Jay would watch it again if he could, and he can, and he will.
You know what? Here's the thing, man. Anything I can watch with my wife where she's into it, I'm going to be pretty happy coming out of it, because, you know, like, I don't know, it's dork stuff. Like, she was not into any of this before we met, barely into any of it now. But we watched it together, and she really enjoyed it. I thought it was actually one of the better first episodes they've done, personally. I don't know if I haven't talked to you guys about it, so.
I agree.
So I was going to ask Casual before I go on my rant. What did you think? What did you think of episode 1?
for the first episode, I do feel like of all the Disney Plus shows, it was one of the better first episodes. I wish they stuck with the 2-episode, drop, especially since you got 9 episodes. But for what it was, I felt like they did a great job of introducing the audience, especially people who may not be familiar with her from the comics or video games or anything like that. I feel like you get a pretty solid introduction to her, and you also get to spend a decent amount of time with Hulk, who we haven't seen since we haven't spent time with him since Endgame. So I feel like for a first episode, you got a lot in the short time that we spent with each character, and I thought it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was really cool. The only thing that it ended abruptly for me. Was that Jamil? Is that her name? She's Titania?
Yeah.
Just shows up. And then it was over. So I'm sure they'll start off with that next episode, but still.
Yeah, until Sadot posted that fight scene on Twitter, I absolutely forgot about that part of the episode because it was just forgettable and bad. So that was weak. That was the weakest aspect of the first episode. That last fight scene. It feels bad to call it a fight, but that was the weakest aspect of the first episode.
All right, Sadot the hater.
Yes, that side of here. So I thought it was dog water. I came in with low expectations because I was looking at the trailers, I was looking at the featurettes, I was listening to the interviews. Fun fact: the show was pitched and greenlit as a courtroom procedural, but then the writers in the room realized that they're not good at writing that, so they said, "Well, we'll just do something else," and that's how we got the show that we have right now. So that pretty much set my expectations for what I could expect, and they pretty much met my expectations. I thought the first episode was probably going to mainly be a rehash of the trailers and featurettes, which it pretty much was. Most of the scenes we pretty much saw already if you were following the trailers. I thought they were largely unfunny. I didn't like the changes to the origin of She-Hulk. I thought the political commentary was predictably cringe and on the nose. And that courtroom fight scene, I thought that was a terrible way to introduce what is a very good villain in the comics for She-Hulk. I thought it was just another throwaway, another example of the MCU just throwing away a perfectly good villain. And I thought the reason why they did that is because another overall problem was that for an origin story, episode 1, I'm expecting you to set up the stakes, set up the journey, the character arc that the main character is going to be overtaking, so that we can see kind of where the growth is going to be, how that's going to play out over the rest of these episodes. Something to keep us hooked and engaged and look forward to. And the first episode basically established she knows everything. She's always right. She's better than Bruce at everything. She knows what she's doing. She doesn't need any help. She's awesome and amazing, slay queen. And that was pretty much the end of the episode. And they capped that off perfectly by having her basically one shot Titania and then continue on with the trial. Literally the only good part of the entire episode for me was the Captain America joke. So in the trailer, I was like, okay, this story, this is unfunny. This is whatever. But then to pay it off in the end credit scene, I actually laughed out loud. So that's pretty much the only reason I'm even going to give episode 2 a shot, mainly because I'm still looking forward to seeing Daredevil pop in and Wong, but that at least getting one laugh out of me was enough to warrant me at least giving episode 2 a try, because now going forward, hopefully most of the scenes aren't going to be stuff that we saw already, but not the best start for me personally.
I get you. I think, I don't know, like I watched a couple reviews and read a couple takes on the show. I feel like trying to think how to word this. I feel like they did with dealing with the subject matter that they're handling. I feel like they did a solid job in a lot of aspects. So like Bruce Banner or the Hulk, feeling intimidated by her is representative of male culture, currently going on right now. And it's like the rock throwing scene. He clearly is just demonstrating what you can do. So he picks up a rock, chucks it, and tells her to do the same. And she puts a little oomph in her throw to try. She wants to see how far she can throw it just by trying. So obviously her rock went a little further. No reason to get upset. No reason to be like, it's not a competition. You were just showing her and telling her to do it herself. She put a little oomph in it. The rock went a little further. That's not demonstrative of her being stronger than him. That's just her trying a little more than he did in his initial throw. And then he picks up the rock and throws it into orbit. And it's like
murders a nearby town. So
yeah, bro, he blew up.
Yeah.
He hit the Guardian. But it's like, bro, there's no reason to do that. Like, good job. We should be having fun with this.
Listen,
that's what that should have been. This shouldn't be a competition. It should just be me hanging out with my cousin who I can relate to even more now. But because of political reasons, they're using him to represent different things in present and culture today, or
that was pretty much
our culture today.
That was pretty much the theme of the entire episode, and which I'm fine with because as long as it's handled with at least some subtlety. I mean, we're the opening we're introduced to her co-counsel on the trial, and he's just some guy who's portrayed as, I should deliver the closing because I'm better, and the implication is, because he's a man. And then when she hawks out for the first time and shows up at this bar and is disheveled, they're like, all these women that don't know her just come over and shower her with praise and give the literal clothes off their back and the shoes off their feet and say everything's all right, he doesn't deserve you, or she or they, got to be politically correct when you're consoling someone. And then they contrast that by she goes outside and immediately gets harassed by some dudes. I knew that was coming a mile away. it was they had to Captain Marvel it up. I get it, but it was just still, I just kind of rolled my eyes like of how unsettled they were being. I was like, okay, we know exactly what you're going for here. And the first thing I thought of was how one of the writers said that she thought that scene was the most important in the entire episode, and she fought with the studio to keep it in.
Well, go ahead, Jay.
I'm looking forward to episode 2, where Sadot shows up with his "Fuck the MCU" T-shirt.
That was you, Mister. I'm not going to call her Mighty Thor.
Listen, I think you've said way more than me. I called her exactly what she wanted to be called in the movie, Dr. Jane Foster.
She's mighty. She's Thor. She's Mighty Thor.
She said,
deal with it.
Natalie Portman herself. You can call me, literally, I think this is verbatim, you can call me Dr. Jane Foster.
And you would rather that because of your obsession with not calling her Mighty Thor. Bigot.
With it being a female-led superhero show, and this is supposed to be relatable, like she's supposed to be relatable to women in general. That scene is something that women continue to complain about and deal with to this day. Absolutely. I get it. I get it, and I 100% knew it was coming. Just like her lawyer friend, he's representative of just assholes who don't know they're assholes. So it's like he may not intentionally be or consciously be being an asshole, but you're being an asshole, and there are people like that. So if there aren't people that's literally living like this today, there's no need for these kind of characters. There's no need for these kind of segments of a show or to draw attention to this, because it's not a thing. But it's a thing. It's always going to be a thing, and that's why people are talking about it and making it a focus in the social settings. But like her speech she gave to Bruce when she was telling him why she's so good at managing her temper and stuff like that, I know that hit home with a lot of people, because yes, this is something that's not recognized a lot, and most people don't take it seriously. And they focused on it as they should, and a lot of women appreciated that. And if that's a core part of your audience and the demographic you're targeting, doing things to win them over, it's like that's no different from doing fan service.
But there's absolutely
everything.
There's absolutely no way she's had a harder time than fucking Bruce Banner, who's literally dealing with a multiple personality disorder that results in mass destruction. because some guy was rude to her once. There's no comparison. We have the benefit of seeing everything Bruce Banner has went through over the course of the MCU. So while that was definitely relatable for women, I'm just as someone who followed the MCU and followed the story of Bruce Banner, I'm just sitting there and like, oh, she just sounds like a complete narcissist. that's detached from reality, and it has no empathy for her cousin.
I think ultimately, I think that like starting her off this high is gonna make it make sense when she gets knocked down a little bit, because that's obviously they're not gonna keep her on such a high all the time. She's gonna have to like face the adversity and all that stuff. So I understand where you're coming from. Like I understand
the adversity of dating when you're a She-Hulk. So hard.
Well, I don't know. I did see David Otunga as one of the people that she's that's in the show. He was a WWE wrestler and was married to Jennifer Hudson. But I don't know. That's just an aside, I guess. But one thing I wanted to talk about with the show before we do move on is, did you feel like the CGI was better than it's looked, or am I crazy? Because I watched it on a 4K TV, and I thought it actually looked pretty good. I didn't really have any major issues.
I thought it looked fine. I thought it looked fine. I thought the whole scene, that whole sequence with that whole segment of the show when she's with Bruce, I thought the CGI throughout that whole thing looked fine. I thought it looked like it broke down into a CW show once we got to the courtroom, but before that, I thought it looked solid.
Yeah, I was expecting better.
I thought it was pretty good overall. I felt like some of the CGI on her in different scenes was kind of hit or miss. Like, it looks like they did motion capture for the Hulk as they usually do, but with her, it looked like they just tried to render her, using CG completely, and it looks weird at times. So like when she's doing the clap scene, she looks kind of rubbery, and instead of like just the way a person would look who's doing a clap and stuff like that. Like if you compare her clap with his clap, it looks it just looks a little off. It's not terrible. It's nothing to be like, oh, this is shit, or they phoned it in or anything. It's nowhere near that bad. And it's, like I said, I'm not gonna get riled up about anything with the show. Like I really don't care that much.
Especially since the VFX, we know the VFX artists were working 100-hour shifts, being paid 10 cents an hour. So,
but there is a rumor that they did get access to Pop-Tarts to keep them energized. So
that is true. Marvel does look out.
I guess Marvel is just like us. They use Fiverr to get their logos made.
Yeah. Well, don't sleep on Fiverr now.
Oh no!
Yeah. Speaking of Marvel, they have a little bit of a thing coming up next month. D23, the showcase where we're going to be seeing some upcoming Marvel games. All of them pretty much upcoming because everything got delayed, and some Star Wars as well. It looks like Knights of the Old Republic remake isn't dead. It got the Embracer Group once again swooping in, saving the day. It looks like they legitimately saved Knights of the Old Republic. I was going to cover that tomorrow as well, but yeah, they just moved it to one of their other studios, and they said they're not expecting any delays. So people that were so I saw Jay on Twitter was super excited about this news. A lot of people were really bummed out when they thought it was dead in the water, but now hope.
Knights of the Old Republic is my favorite video game of all time. It hasn't aged well, so like if you play it now based on today's standards for video games, it doesn't play as well as it did when I played it the first time. But like that story is amazing. Darth Revan is my favorite character in all of Star Wars. I just love it. So the idea of getting to play a modernized version of the game I will wait as long as I have to. Obviously, I want it to be as good as it can be. So yeah, I was a little taken aback by that news initially, but I did see something today where it is, I think, Jason Shearer or whatever his name is.
Jason, I think it's Schreier.
Schreier, yeah. I guess he said it is not coming anytime soon. He's like 2025 is what we're looking at. Which I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't think it was gonna be here till 24 at the earliest anyway. So
right.
You know, it is what it is. You know,
they are basically remaking it from scratch, aren't they?
I hear they're going like the Final Fantasy route. You know, it's not gonna be, it's gonna be a remake, and they're gonna kind of follow that type of a path. So like, it's not gonna be like a shot for shot remake, but it's gonna kind of follow a similar path to that, which is great. You know, I don't care. Like, Final Fantasy Remake was pretty good. Do that with KOTOR.
It looks good.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's what I'm most excited about. Like, you know, I was playing KOTOR 2 recently. Thank you to Aspire for sending me that.
JayShockblast.
Yeah. It looked like it's actually the best. Shockingly, the best it's ever looked is on Switch. So like, it's just that the gameplay is a little dated, and I get that, but like, I don't know, man. Like, it's such a good story. I'll never forget when that like epic moment happens and the reveal happens, and how like somehow I didn't know after playing the whole game what was about to happen. Like, it seems like it should have been obvious in hindsight, and then when I found out, like, it's one of the coolest moments in video games ever for me. So I'm really hyped for it. But there's a lot of stuff coming for D23 though. Looks like we're getting that, what is it, Skybound Media, is that what they're called?
Skydance New Media.
Skydance
that's why I'm working. So I'm of course going to be live streaming it, and you should definitely subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss it. And my main thing is I'm mainly there for the Marvel stuff. I would love to get some Jedi Survivor gameplay. That's one of my most anticipated games of next year. I would absolutely love some Insomniac in Spider-Man 2, maybe some Wolverine gameplay for the first time, some Spider-Man 2 gameplay for the first time. And I want to see that reveal of the Skydance New Media game. So we heard back when they first announced it, there were rumors it was going to be either a Daredevil game, could be a Fantastic Four game. Now it looks like it's going to be Fantastic Four because they confirmed it is an ensemble game. And we already had those rumors it was Fantastic Four. So if it's an ensemble game, that pretty much narrows it down. You know, they're not going to do another Guardians of the Galaxy game. So it's pretty much going to be X-Men or Fantastic Four, and all reports indicate it's going to be Fantastic Four, AAA, single player. I'm all about it. I can't wait.
I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I heard an interesting theory that it could be Defenders. You know, that could be a very cool ensemble game. You can do, obviously, the Netflix style Defenders with, you know, you got Daredevil. That's what everybody's been asking for. Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. The Defenders traditionally were not necessarily just those four. So, like, that is kind of an all-encompassing, you know, group. There's a lot of people that have been Defenders. I'm not married to that, but I initially wanted to just write it off. But the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I thought that could be a very interesting game.
I'd be intrigued by that as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, I would definitely take that. You got Doctor Strange, you got Namor, the Hulk. You got some pretty big defenders. So, you know, even if you want to keep it at ground level, that would be dope for me.
I agree. Completely.
I was leaning towards the Fantastic Four idea because, like I said, they did use the word ensemble, and then they are kind of starting to ramp up their reintroduction of the Fantastic Four. They got a new comic series coming out. They were just announced for the phase 6 of the MCU, so they're going to be coming back. And Marvel has been using gaming to introduce, you know, different heroes to the mass audience or gaming audience and things like that to kind of bring them over into the mainstream as well. So it's like I won't be disappointed if it's not the Fantastic Four, because honestly I'll take whatever they're working on. But I'm pretty solid on it being a Fantastic Four game, and I think that's definitely something they need. As a franchise in general, I love the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, same. I feel like people who are like long time comic fans, look at some of the animated stuff. They get the Fantastic Four, but people who only basically know them from the live action movies don't really have an appreciation for how great the Fantastic Four is. They say, they suck. Oh, Doctor Doom, who cares about that? And I just look at them like, you sweet summer child.
I mean, I think a lot of people forget, like, especially because that last trash Fantastic Four movie we had, like, how important Marvel's first family really was, because Marvel themselves did a really good job of like destroying them, like tearing them down to try to devalue them, while Fox had all those rights and they were trying to get them back. They are a pretty awesome story. They're a pretty awesome, group. And Doctor Doom is honestly probably, like, a lot of people are used to Thanos now being the big bad of the Marvel Universe. I mean, there's a comic where Doctor Doom, God Emperor Doom, literally turns Thanos to ash. Like, literally holds him by the throat. Just literally turned him into a skull, So, like, Doctor Doom, to me, like, I think back to, like, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, like, that was such a great game, and, Doom was such a big part of that. I don't know, man. Doctor Doom is pretty...
That's my guy.
Pretty dope,
Yeah, Doctor Doom is...
rumored to appear in Wakanda Forever as well.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that. Like, Doctor Doom has always been one of my favorite villains. He kind of got on my bad side with invading Wakanda and all of that, but he definitely the boss of all bosses. But if we can get a Fantastic Four game with him, and again, they're looking to ramp him up too. So if he appears in Wakanda Forever, that's all that much better. I just hope they really represent him the way that he can be and the way he's portrayed in the comics, because he doesn't fold, he doesn't submit to anybody. If he works with you, it's solely for his benefit, and if you cross him, he come at you with the swiftness, and he coming for the throat. So just represent that on the screen and we good.
Yeah, I would love that.
Please, Marvel, please do not phase forward Doctor Doom, please. Phase 4 is what I'm calling it now.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued to see what they do. I'm obviously expecting about 7 more mobile games. Yeah. I mean, very, very quickly though, there is talk about something new involving Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, and I know that you're probably not super interested in that per se, but I'm very confused by that, because that used to be that there would be 2 Lego games a year, right? And there was Lego Worlds, there was Lego Dimensions, which had multiple updates a year. There was so much Lego content, and then they had a lot of problems putting together Lego Star Wars. They had all hands on deck. All of their studios were working on it, and it took so long for that to come out. I'm really surprised to hear they've got more coming, because I would have thought once the game shipped, once it was out, we're done. We released all of our DLC and the season pass, within the first month of the game being out, so I'm curious to see what they did. In the past, in other Lego games, they've released small, like, thank you packs of, like, a couple free characters or something. My anticipation is it's going to be that. Maybe they finished working on the character customizer. If they did include that, that would be massive, because that is a huge thing that a lot of people were pissed off about when that game came out. And honestly, I used to make tons of custom character videos, so it was certainly missed. But I'm very intrigued by that. I wanted to throw that in there because I know there's a lot of people that have been asking me about it. So it'll be interesting to see. I think I'm really looking forward to that. I think we're all going to probably stream it or something, but yeah, it's very, very interesting to see what else we have. Do we think there's anything else they could show that would be a surprise? I mean, I don't know how long this panel is. It does seem like there's already a decent amount of content. Do we think there's any possibility? Because I know there is an Ubisoft Star Wars game.
Yeah, there's at least one unannounced Star Wars game. Well, that we know of, and they haven't revealed it yet. So I can see that. I think all the Marvel games are going to be pretty much accounted for. So
Black
I think
Panther?
if there's I think it's way too early for them if they're going to reveal that. They could, but it from the way Jeff Grubb described it, it sounded like it was super early in development. So I don't know if they have enough to put together, a sizzle reel or something.
Here's my question for you then. The rumor is it's like a create your own Black Panther kind of thing. Have you heard that? Which
obviously won't. Yeah, he would say it on the podcast, but I agree with Jeff. Like, there's no way in hell they're going to let that happen.
That can't happen
because you can't have a white Black Panther. Like, it's not.
Well, I actually heard that that's not even actually on the table. Like, you can only have a Black Panther, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Like,
so it won't be a creative character. It'll just be a customized your T'Challa, your Wakanda.
Yeah.
So it won't be a full creative.
I hate that. I hate the idea that you're gonna have a Black Panther game because look, I'm wearing my Black Panther shirt. Like I think he's the most important Black character in all of comics, and he's a literal king. Like, to have him finally have his moment to shine. And I think Avengers did a good job overall with Black Panther, but this is like his own thing. For him to get his own thing and have it not be T'Challa would be a tragedy to me. Because, like, I know that people like to read Wikipedia and say, well, Shuri was Black Panther too. And, like, there's lots of people that, like, there have been other people that have held the mantle of Black Panther. But T'Challa has been Black Panther in like 99.7% of the media ever produced about Black Panther. So like when we get caught up in T'Challa, that's why, I don't know how you feel about that.
Sounds like Jay's going to have an MCU shirt next podcast.
I know how you guys feel about that as actual Black people.
I agree.
As an actual Black man, I would much rather have a solo T'Challa game rather than a create random character to do. Like, there's no point. Like, if you want some customization, let us customize the suit. Let us get a Black Panther game that's just T'Challa. Like, don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah, that create a player idea sounds like a way to create a way for your game to get canceled before it gets started, because that's dumb. That is
especially if the plot of your game is T'Challa dies.
Yeah. I just feel like it's such a sensitive subject in general, because we look at do you recast T'Challa in the MCU or not? Like how dicey that can get. I just don't feel like that's like, there are lots of games you could do that for. I don't think Black Panther's the right one. Like, I even look at games like Mass Effect, all right, where you've got a male or female Shepard, and there's arguments, which one's canon and stuff like that. I don't even like that. Like, just pick one, and I'll live with it, okay? I don't care if it's male or female. Like, I play as Cassandra in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'll play as a female protagonist. It's fine. Aloy is beloved. I've got an Aloy statue up there somewhere. Like, I don't care. Like, just in this case, I just feel like the wrong character. T'Challa deserves his moment, and I feel like it would just be so much better just to play as the actual Black Panther for the game. You know what I mean?
Especially since there's so few Black superhero characters that get love to begin with, especially their own games. Right. I feel like you should if you're gonna go that route, you should definitely do it right with the OG. Give us T'Challa,
not just some faceless nobody.
Yeah, like it seems kind of disrespectful to be honest.
If you want to do that, just bring back Marvel heroes, and you'll have people happy about that. You can make your own T'Challa wannabe character in that. Don't do that with a AAA Black Panther game. That's dumb. And that's a quick way to lose a lot of support that you would have had if you didn't do that. But,
absolutely.
That's my 2 cents.
So I think we're ready to go ahead.
So we're going to move on to I want to talk about this another hot button issue. I saw this trending on Twitter all day. The people are basically people on Twitter basically think the new CEO over at Discovery after the Warner merger is basically Hitler. They just hate because he canceled the Batgirl movie for a tax write-off, and there's basically this narrative that he hates black people and women, and that's the reason why they're making all these changes at DC. So as someone who is the resident bigot on this podcast, what do you think, Casual Avenger?
Yes. Not me.
I think people just need to kind of just brush up on business economics. Just look at it from an economical standpoint. What makes sense, because nobody, like, say you can say what you want to say about the Batgirl, Batwoman movie, whatever it was. You can say what you want to say about it. There was no wave of support coming out for that movie when it dropped. If that movie went all the way to theaters, it was going to bomb. The reviews are going to be bad, and the people who are being political about it, they're going to take their stance. So the dudes who hate women and all of that stuff, they're going to have that angle, and the women who are pro women and all of that, they're going to have that angle. And that's about all that movie was going to do. But for WB, it was going to be an L. It was going to be a massive L, because you also have to factor in that they have to promote that. And they put millions into promoting that. So they avoided that by just canceling the movie and getting a tax write-off. So you get to keep your money, and you don't have to pay that money to the taxes on the back end. And you don't have to waste money dumping it into marketing a movie that's going to ultimately bomb. And you're not getting that money back on the back end. So it's like, economically, this makes sense. I understand it hurts to get your shows and stuff canceled, especially like the Static Shock show and all of that. Like, I get it. I understand. But economically, if it's not making money, then it doesn't make sense. So it's like, just remove the feelings from the argument and just move on. It's WB. They don't know what the hell is going over there anyway. So it's like, it doesn't matter. Let them reset. Let them figure it out. Save some money, because they've been wasting a lot of money over the past few years anyway. You've been dropping bomb after bomb after bomb. So it's like, reset. Stop pushing stuff out of the gate. Reorganize. Figure this stuff out. Do what makes sense financially, and then go forward with a complete vision of what you actually want to do.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, nobody was talking about Batgirl. Like, they made the announcement of the girl that was playing her. Sure, there's a little bit of controversy. People talked about it a little bit then. People that loved her loved it. People that were like, well, Barbara Gordon is a white redhead, like, what's going on here? Like, they said their part, you know what I mean? Like, I nobody was talking about this movie. Like, nobody was hyped about it. And then all of a sudden it canceled, and everybody was like, what? Well, I was gonna watch that. Like, what? Like, nobody was talking about it. And I just, like, the same guy that canceled that literally canceled CNN Plus. Like, you think Batgirl is still gonna come out and CNN Plus is gonna die? I don't think so. Like, they are billions of dollars in debt as part of this merger. I think it was like Discovery and WB or Time Warner, I guess. So they have billions of dollars of debt. They reorganized everything. Things are getting slashed, and everybody's like, well, Ezra Miller's committing crime, and they're still going to make that movie. Well, The Flash is a tentpole movie, okay? They have so much more invested in The Flash, and I agree. Ezra Miller does not deserve anything. I have no problem if they write him out of it somehow, and if they reshoot it and cast somebody else, and all the stuff that they lost, they charge Ezra Miller for it. All for it, okay? Like, but that movie has to happen, They're too far into that movie, which is supposed to allegedly, like, set up the future of the DCEU, or whatever they call it. Like, that's supposed to be a tentpole movie. Yes, they are going to have a little bit more leniency with it, it's confusing.
That's all I'm saying.
The whole thing to me was so predictably stupid, because I knew exactly what the Twitter reactions were going to do. It's so predictable. The MCU sector, we're going to celebrate, get woke, go broke, and all the people with blue hair, we're gonna rage and say, oh, you bigots. That's the only reason. Like, and as soon as I saw that, I looked at the list of things they canceled, They canceled a bunch of stuff. They canceled a Scooby-Doo movie. They canceled a J.J. Abrams project. It had nothing to do with a race. It was just like, oh, are these projects going to make us money? No. Okay, cut them. We have debt to clear. we don't have infinite resources. We have debt. We are trying to start this merger off on the right track. So we're going to organize the DC universe. No, we're not going to have all this random garbage just sprinkled in there just because somebody wants to pander on Twitter. We're going to have a plan, a 10-year plan, and we're going to start investing in movies that are going to make us money in the box office, preferably. And I'm like, yes, that's how a business works. There's nothing. If it seems like they were targeting specific movies or shows about people of color and women, it's probably because before their merger, they were just willy-nilly spending money on stuff that they knew wasn't going to be financially successful, but they thought, well, it gets our message, our political messaging out there, and we think it's worth it. And unfortunately for them, a CEO took over that said, yeah, we don't care about that. I want to make money. I don't. If I want to donate to a charity, I'll do that. We're in the business of making money and entertaining people, and the people have clearly spoken. They saw Batgirl. They looked at the costume. They looked at the casting, the race swap, and they're like, yeah, we don't want this. And they were like, oh, okay. If it's not a personal choice, it doesn't mean the CEO. I don't know who the CEO is personally. I don't know what his politics are, but he just sounds like a guy who doesn't like wasting money. And to me, that's like, yeah, comment who does. So I don't think it's that big a deal. I don't think the DC is necessarily going to be good, but at least they're moving forward with some kind of standard, going rather than just throwing anything at the wall and seeing what sticks.
And not only that, but like if you look at like the Marvel, okay, like pretty much anything they put out, even if it's at best average, like I know that you didn't enjoy, Thor or Doctor Strange as much as I did, but like those movies still made close to $1 billion. Like everything that the MCU puts together is gonna sell, and it's gonna put butts in seats. That's what they need. They need to focus on Superman, and they need to focus on The Flash and Wonder Woman, these absolute tentpole characters that are going to make them billions of dollars like every time you put out new content. Which is why all of a sudden Ben Affleck is showing up on the set of Aquaman 2. You know what I mean? So
yeah, because people want to see, because people care about Batman.
Yep.
Who knew?
Yeah, I think it's time to just unleash Catman. You've been sitting on Catman for years. He's been in the DCU on the ground level, fighting on the streets. Unleash him and put him in front of main audiences, and that's where you're gonna take things out.
Yeah.
We don't need Superman to just let it go.
I'm waiting for that Condiment King solo film.
But I 100% believe if they had a way to get a tax write-off and cancel the Flash, that would be done.
Yeah,
that would have been. They would have pulled the plug on that.
Oh, absolutely.
It just didn't work out like that.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, it would be a big tax write-off at this point. But I think that they know what they have with that movie, and they know all the parts that are involved and what it took to get there. And I think that they know, even if they remove Ezra Miller completely, like from all the press, like, yeah, he's in the movie, but we're not focusing on that. Like, even though he's the star, like, I think they're still going to make their money. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm not going to see it if he's in it. And I get that, but like, I think of all the other people that are in it, and I'm going to see it. I'm not even going to apologize for it. He could go murder someone tomorrow. I'm still going to go see it,
Also,
all right, that's a bit dramatic.
Also, Jay, Ezra identifies as they, so respect the pronouns, my friend.
All right. My bad.
All right.
You said you didn't want to get canceled. I'm trying to help you out.
Fair. Fair.
Your shirt, your Black Panther shirt ain't going to save you from that one.
Damn it. I don't have anything. I'm like trying to save myself here. All right. Yep. They, them.
There you
That's
go.
all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Sticking with WB, I guess we can transition over to Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
How are we feeling about the Gotham Knights gameplay we've been getting up to this point?
So I think that I've definitely gotten my fair share of complaints about it, and I even pointed out at one point when we were watching the Red Hood gameplay, there was whoever was editing that footage together for IGN forgot to cut out the part of the Red Hood gameplay when their partner Red Hood desynced and was doing a people's elbow and got frozen in the air. It got frozen mid elbow and then it glitched down. so we went through that, but so I can definitely tell that there's definitely going to be some issues with the polish. I hope it's not too bad because that's probably a big reason why they canceled last gen support. Because if it looks like that on high end systems, I can't imagine how bad it would have been on last gen. I also compared the gameplay to kind of how I looked at Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not that fast, crisp, smooth, free flowing that we're used to with previous other Gotham games, Arkham games, or even Marvel's Avengers. But Guardians still ended up being really fun. The story was good, and even though the combat looked really floaty and everything like that, it still ended up being really fun. And I think that's with the varied ways you could play each character. I think ultimately, as long as the performance issues are at a minimum, I think people are going to really enjoy it. It's going to be a fun game to run through. I think the story is going to be good, and everyone's going to have fun. I don't know how long it'll be in terms of longevity. We'll see how interesting that end game is of just exploring the city and popping up to different crimes, because the city does look kind of empty, but they did say there's going to be a lot of crime and stuff to solve and stuff to explore. So there could be that component, but at very least, I think people are going to have a good time running through it, playing with multiple characters, unlocking different missions and endings. And will it be game of the year? Probably not, but I think people looking for alternative superhero game to Marvel's Avengers are going to get that itch scratch for the most part.
I felt like the gameplay, like the most recent gameplay, where they were saying like you're gonna see some high level gameplay, I felt like that was very misleading because it was not high level in the least.
They were level 30. You didn't see the 30 over their head? They were level 30.
They have vibranium.
They got to stop giving the janitor the controller and telling them to fill in for them so they can get some footage.
I don't know. Here's what I think about that, because I think a lot of people point that out whenever they've shown any of this gameplay. I think it's different to put together like a highlight of how gameplay could be. Like you watch and like one of the Red Hoods very slowly walks into position so they could do their big finishing move and stuff like that. Like they're very deliberate in their motions. They're not trying to show you pro MLG, fast twitch cuts and everything like that. They're just trying to like show you like this is what you can do, and they're trying to size up the shots. And I think I understand why people don't look at that and just see that. Because people just want to see the way that they're going to play, and it's probably going to be a little chaotic and spastic, but I felt like that was one of the best showings they've had so far, and I really look for, like, Red Hood's the character I'm looking forward to playing the most, and I thought, like, they did a lot of really cool stuff. I love the way that he was able to launch off the motorcycle and then zip line down. I love the way he slapped up that big titty lady. I don't know if you guys noticed her.
We did.
I'm at the giant pimp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was a design choice. But yeah, I'm stoked for it. It's supposed to be like enormous. Like Gotham City is supposed to be huge. So I do hope there is a lot of stuff to do in between. I love the fact that it's co-op, that you can play by yourself, or you can have a friend play with you, because I feel like anytime you have the opportunity to have someone else with you, it's always better. But I'm pumped for it, man. I honestly, I don't say that because I've got my Gotham Knights Court of Owls mask right there.
Yo.
Yeah. But listen, I'm hyped for it. I've loved all the Arkham games. I know this isn't necessarily in the Arkham universe, but you know, WB Montreal did make Origins, I believe, and they might have made another one, or at least contributed. But like, they've been a part of it, you know, and I feel like I trust the Arkham games. I mean, Arkham City is. I'm not even a big Batman fan, but like Arkham City is honestly top 2 or 3 superhero video games ever made. You know, it's pretty much Spider-Man and Arkham City to me. You know,
Right.
So I mean, like I feel like we're gonna get something really good, and I'm really looking forward to it. I really encourage people to go read Court of Owls before it comes out. I think that's gonna give you a really good idea of kind of what to expect and how cool that storyline is, because it's honestly one of my favorite DC stories. But yeah, I thought it looked good. I'm really excited. What do you guys think about all the customization? Because I think that's something a lot of Avenger fans talked about when it came to gear.
Absolutely. I thought, so people were, complaining. There are obviously some people, that were comparing to Avengers, and there's some similarities if you squint, but it's one to 2 players, and there's going to be gear. I personally really like what they're doing with the cosmetics, like the gear itself in terms of the perks. That stuff doesn't affect your appearance, but they do have gear that does. You have the various outfit sets that you can that you find throughout the city. They have different parts to them, so you can mix and match. You can change the palette. You can change the pieces, and they do have stats on them. I thought that was a really cool touch, and that's definitely something that will add some more replay value to the game. But not just looking for gear to put together different builds, because just looking at the gameplay, it doesn't seem like it really is going to matter. You're pretty much powerful from the get-go, and it looks like it doesn't look like it's going to be that challenging. Honestly, I'm not expecting it to be like a high-level dungeon gameplay like a Destiny by the end game, but having that freedom of customization, I thought is really cool, especially in a superhero game, being able to mix and match, because there are some outfit sets, as we were going over them, I was looking at them like, oh, that one's almost good, but I would want to change that part, and you can. So I thought that was a really smart idea on their part, anticipating that player request before they even had to set it out there. And I think that's a big dub in my book. What do you think, Cass?
Yeah, I believe they deserve the benefit of the doubt. They haven't shown anything to really just put people off the trailers or anything like that. I understand, like Jay was saying, they're very strategic with what they're doing. Like I said, I'm making fun of them because I know that's how people feel. They want it to be flashy and a spectacle.
And that's fair.
Yeah, I get what the trailers are about, and I feel like games like this and like Midnight Suns, they're very passionate about what they're doing. They have a strong idea of what they want to do, what they want players to be able to do, and you just have to give it a chance. So the Avengers comparisons, like, that's 100% nonsense. It's like everything does not have to be compared to Avengers, bro. Let it go. Whatever the game did to you, show the doctor where it hurt you and let it go, bro. But like, my gripe with the game is their decision to make Red Hood kind of like the bulky character, like
we call him Fed Hood over here in Durag Nation.
The brute. I don't want Red. I don't think of a Red Hood as a brute. Like, I'm thinking of like how he was able to move around and like under the Red Hood when him and Batman were fighting the assassins. Is like he's very acrobatic. He was a Robin, so it's like the idea that he's this big goon now is like, I'm not a fan of it, but I'm still going to play with him. He's definitely going to be one of my go-tos because he can shoot. But far and away, it looks like Robin and Batgirl are going to be the standouts of this, based on the gameplay. When we get our hands on it, it could be something different, but based on what we've seen in the trailers and the gameplay, Batgirl and Robin look like the duo to get shit done.
I'm 100% starting with Robin. I'm probably going to play Red Hood last, to be honest. To be honest, I'm not a fan of the bruiser with the non-lethal bullets. I'm going to save that for last.
I personally anticipate going in starting off with Red Hood because he's one of my favorite DC characters anyway, and then Nightwing is probably my second Batgirl, then Robin, but who knows? It could change by then.
I think I'm gonna start off with Nightwing just because I know everybody is gonna be running Red Hood or Batgirl or Robin, so I'm gonna stick with Nightwing starting out. I do like the glider. I love the baton gameplay and all of that. I think I don't think there's gonna be a bad character in the game.
Right.
It's just really gonna come down to personal preference, but I think everybody's ultimately gonna be fun and it's going to be rewarding to level them up in a way that we didn't necessarily get with Avengers because it's more of a grind and just it's tedious. It's not fun leveling up everybody, and there's really no point in leveling up everybody, especially if you don't main them. But if you're a completionist, it's there for you. But in this, I feel like you're going to want to explore the other heroes and figure out what they can do and things like that. Plus, it's only 4, and I'm pretty sure we're going to get DLC people. But for right now, you're starting up with 4 people. That's not a lot to ask of your player base. And like I said, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we gotta get Patrick ready over here like next month or something to grill him about DLCs and stuff. I wanna know.
Yeah, I looked at the collector's edition, which is what I have pre-ordered, and there's no mention of a season pass or anything. So I don't know. They did tweet at somebody saying that there were no microtransactions, which prompted the dumbest argument I've ever had on Twitter. Which says a lot. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like
I feel like you argue with too many stupid people on Twitter per day.
It's my kryptonite.
Did Marvel Spider-Man have season passes?
Yes.
Okay.
The first one did. There were 3 expansions. City That Never Sleeps. It was like Hammerhead.
Yeah, I remember the
Sable,
DLCs.
And Black Cat, I think.
Yeah, I bought them all like after. I got Spider-Man PS4 later, and then I just bought all the DLCs after I finished the game.
I thought they offered them like they announced them and then just offered them as a separate package after you completed the game. Like they let you know it's coming. I can't remember if they were selling like season passes during pre-orders and everything.
Yeah, there was a season pass, and I had the collector's edition with that sweet little statue. Yeah, I'm a collector. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like I think
someone say hoarder.
I think the game is going to be a lot of fun, and I feel like people got to dial it back. Like we are way too critical about stuff we have no knowledge of. Like nobody really knows much about the game outside of what we're shown, and people are writing it off or talking about what it's going to be and who's going to be there. Oh, Batman's going to show up. It's like we don't know. If he does, that's great, but we don't know. Just relax. If you like DC, you like the Gotham Knights and all of that, play the game, get the game, and enjoy the game. Accept the game for what it is. It doesn't have to be any other game. It doesn't have to be just like any other game. Just play the game.
I agree.
That's a radical idea, Casual. Just playing games for enjoyment.
I'm an extremist.
Who would do such a thing?
I cannot relate. I play games because they remind me of other games that I also don't like, so I can complain about them as I play them for 40 hours.
That's the reasonable thing to do.
Pretty much everything we had on the little itinerary. I thought that was a pretty fun first episode. I only got called racist 3 times. I mean, that's a new world record.
Yeah, I thought it was very good.
Didn't get called implied.
Yeah, implied, and I did a little subversion of expectations. You thought I was going to call you a bigot.
I was already frowning. I was already like preparing myself for it.
Casual bigot.
Casual everything. But man, this is everything I thought it would be. I think we're gonna get better at this. I think I hope everybody that watched enjoyed it. I don't know that we've really worked on how we're gonna close things out. Is there anything you guys want to add?
Shout out to chat for coming through, and
Shout
shout out for getting the stream over 100 likes. And thank you for spending your Friday night with us on our first episode.
And I definitely think we need a special shout out to Doomkiller because, like I said, he is such a glue person in a really fractured community, and he did a service for so many people in putting together his roundtables and everything. He's got so many shows, I don't even know which one's called what anymore. But honestly, like, we're just like, I'm a dude from Boston, we got Philly, we got Chicago in the house. We're just like three random dudes that have no business knowing each other, and we do because of Doom.
Because of him. Literally because of Doom.
And the worst video game of all time, Marvel's Avengers, apparently. So, like, honestly, I think I would be remiss if, we didn't make sure that he knew how much we appreciate him.
We definitely got to get him on as a guest. That's something absolutely. I don't think a lot of people know about him. He's great at hosting. Like, I think he doesn't give himself enough credit for how well of a host he is, but he much prefers to be one of the guests on the show. So we definitely got to have him on as a guest.
Actually, matter of fact, let's invite him on next week and see if he can come on.
Yeah, and that's something we talked about. We want to make sure, because a lot of times when Doom does do the shows, when there's like 9 people on the screen, it can be tough to like manage everything. So we're gonna try our best to never have more than one guest with us at a time, just to kind of keep everything in house, and we'll still do the shows with him and everything, and but we want to make sure that we stay focused on the topic. There's not a lot of like digging around. There's not a lot of in between time sorting out whose turn it is to talk. You're definitely going to see us get better. I think we have a pretty good rapport already. I know from my perspective, I'm used to being a host, so like sometimes I just sense now's the time to jump in and take control, kind of like what I'm doing right now. And I apologize in advance if I ever do that too much, but we are a work in progress. And
Very good, Jay. I will definitely let you know when you're out of line.
Oh, I'm sure, and I'm sure it'll be in the most offensive way possible.
Only the most gentle and respectful and civil method is I will ever do. That's please, how without the game rules.
Please coddle my fragile ego.
There's nothing I'd like to do more. So appreciate all of you in Durag Nation. I don't know what you call your peoples, Jay, casual.
The casuals.
The casuals works. The shock blast, the blasters.
Yeah, and obviously make sure if
Shockers.
if we do figure out how to get this into podcast land, obviously check us out on all of our social media. Sadot the Gamer on Twitter, Casual Avenger on Twitter, JayShockblast on Twitter. Obviously, we all have channels on YouTube, and coming soon, Pornhub and OnlyFans. So yeah,
we're coming for all of you. So we'll see you guys next Friday night, God willing, at 8 p.m. where we'll cover whatever craziness happened that week, as well as episode 2 of She-Hulk. I'm Sadot the Gamer.
Casual Avenger.
JayShockblast.
We'll get that better next time.
We will definitely be better next time.
All right, guys, get the hell out of here.